You're here with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope you've had an absolutely awesome week wherever you are in this amazing planet of ours. I know it's been a very tumultuous time over the last few weeks with all the planetary configurations jumping all over the place, and last week has been no exception. You know, we came out of the full moon and then we went straight into a plethora of planets all jumping around the place, causing us all to still be feeling very uncomfortable, aggressive, teary, sort of not wanting to get motivated, and then the next minute sort of having boundless energy that we didn't know what to do with. Well, I wish I could say things were going to settle down and we could all have a rest, but then I'd be telling fibs. So I think we'll start the show today with talking about what is actually coming up in this amazing universe of ours, and we're heading towards the first of the two new moons that will be in Leo this 30-day period. So Sunday the 23rd, around this amazing planet of ours, is when the new moon will head into Leo, the first one for the month. And when we have two new moons in a month, the second one is actually called the dark moon. Now, this month we're really fortunate. We're not only going to have a dark moon, but we're going to have a lunar eclipse as well. So in very basic terms, what this means is the new moon in Leo is going to be amplified. So if you can imagine, instead of it just being the new moon, let's times it by 10, let's times it by 100, and maybe even by 1,000, the energy that we're all going to experience is going to be amplified. Now, I'm pleased to say that it's actually going to be in Leo, and it's one of my favourite moons out of the 12, because it actually sort of means we all will get motivated. We will be motivated to get up off the couch, to do something new, to strut our stuff, to sort of show the universe what we're made of. So it's the perfect time for anybody that's starting a new venture, whether it's a new business, a new relationship, just wanting to start something new in their lives, something that they've dreamed of or been working towards for a very, very long time. What we have to be aware of is any time we talk about an energy being in Leo, we also have to be very careful of Leo can bring about a little bit of drama. Now, drama in some people's worlds is perfectly fine. And I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying be aware sometimes with drama comes fiery tempers, aggressive behaviour, people speaking their mind without thinking, and throwing little temper tantrums. Nobody we know throws temper tantrums, do they? But the moon in Leo to me is also a very positive energy. I always feel energised and energetic and feel like everything's right with the world when the moon goes into Leo, or any other planet for that matter. And we are joined by the sun moving into Leo too at the same time as the new moon. So we're going to have a lot of really intense, positive, fiery, outspoken energy around us in this next amazing week. So, you know, batten down the hatches, I suppose, Saturday night. Get ready for Sunday with the energy really shifting, and you will feel it. And for those of you that are starting something new, this is the perfect time to get out there. People will be taking notice of you. People will sort of start to listen, and they say, wow, where did they come from? Oh, I never thought about it in that way. So it's a very, very positive time. So moving on with positivity, we always feature here every week on the show, we feature a Simply Tarot card of the week. For those of you that know a little bit about me, I've been in the industry in Australia for over 40 years. 13 years ago, I designed a set of tarot cards based on the most popular deck in the world, based on the Rider-Waite deck. We called them the Simply Tarot cards. We popped a little introductory meaning on the bottom of the card to help you learn and work with the tarot more quickly. So this week's amazing card is the World, and it's one of my favourite cards because it can mean overseas trip, money luck, the world in the palm of your hand, and new opportunities. So how apt is that to go hand in hand with the new moon in Leo, or the first one of our new moons in Leo for July, on the 23rd of this month. Our second new moon will be on the 22nd of August, and that will be coinciding with the lunar eclipse. So it will be a very, very busy time as we head through this amazing planet of ours and we start to work with the energy of the new moon. For those of you that like to light a candle and set your intentions for the next month, can I suggest that you think very, very carefully at what you would like to attract or bring towards you this month. Make sure that your energy is clear, that your intent is very definite. that you really are prepared to put in the effort that goes with what you want to draw towards you. Look, we can all sit down and write all the lists and all the intentions under the sun and put it up on the fridge and put it under the candle, but unless we're prepared to get up off the couch and give it a helping hand and actually participate in making it happen, then nothing will happen. So I'm a firm believer in intent, direction and purpose. So if you cover those three things in when you're writing out what you would like to draw towards you for the new moon, and then pop it under your favourite candle and burn it for at least an hour every day for the next 7 days from the new moon, then you really focus on what the energy is or the changes are that you are trying to bring into your life. New moon to me always means new opportunities. Full moon to me means the releasing of the things that we no longer need. Some people may have a different way that they like to work with the moon. This is how I've always worked with the moon in the last 40 odd years of my professional career, and it's always worked for me. So I like to share with you the things that work for me. So we're going to continue on with the second part of our 4-part series of Venus, the planet of love and affection, moving through the zodiac. Now, for those of you that might have missed last week's show, Venus is the planet of where we look for love or loving relationships in our life, and more importantly, the things that bring a smile to our face, the things that we love to do, the activities that we like to participate in, the way that we view art or the way we view music or the way we view anything that brings a smile to our face. Not all the time is it always representing the love interest we're going to have in our life. Yes, love is a major part of our lives, and I truly do believe love makes the world go round. I know a lot of people would disagree with me. They say money makes the world go round, but I think if you don't have personal joy in your life, no amount of money is going to be able to buy you that. Yes, it might make your life a little bit more comfortable and you're not stressed out because you're not worried about it, but it doesn't create personal joy. And that's what I like to work with, is the personal joy in your life. So for those people that are lucky enough to have Venus in Cancer, Venus in Cancer is a very gentle Venus here. Venus in Cancer says, let's slow everything down. Let's feel our way through. Let's sort of let our emotions take us on a journey of discovery. People that have Venus in Cancer like a partner that is softly spoken, that is gentle. Even though they must be strong, they can't be seen as being aggressive or boisterous. People with Venus in Cancer usually have a very, very well-developed sense of the finer things in life. They are really attracted to music, certainly very attracted to anything along an artistic level. They may not necessarily want to have a lot of pictures of art on their wall, but they certainly need to have a creative and a comfortable home. It needs to be practical, but it also needs to be soft and gentle. It needs to be welcoming. It needs to make you feel as if you walk in and you've got a big hug. That's really important to them. And you quite often find people with Venus in Cancer are often quite demonstrative. They like to be touched. They like somebody playing with their hair. They like somebody holding their hand when they walk down the street. This is very important for them. So we shift the energy up a notch or two now when we move to Venus in Leo. What can I say? If you've got Venus in Leo, where's my stage? I need my public. I need people clapping and cheering me. Why isn't the world clapping and cheering me? My stage must be set for just me. There's no one else on the planet that's more beautiful than me. I've got Venus in Leo. You know, I'm here. I've arrived. And, you know, Venus in Leo can sometimes be all of those things and a little bit too egotistical for some people. But the thing is, if we don't have pride in ourselves, how is anybody else going to have pride in us if we don't believe in ourselves first? People that have Venus in Leo certainly don't like to be associated or seen with people that they believe to be butt ugly. I know that's not the word, not being spiritual by saying that, but this is the truth. Boys and girls, they really don't. They like to be around people that make them feel glamorous, that make them feel important, make them feel that people are going to turn heads and look at them. I suppose you could say if somebody was butt ugly, people would turn heads and say, that person's ugly. I suppose that's a maybe a reaction, but that's not the reaction Venus in Leo is looking for. They really want to be part of the A-list set. It's really important to them that people really do think that they are something special. Now we move to Venus in Virgo. Now, it's really interesting because Venus and Virgo almost seem like odd bedfellows to put together, because Venus is the planet of love and affection, and Virgo says, I want everything neat and tidy and very methodical and organised and practical and logical. And sort of it's almost like being beautiful and being practical don't go together. Well, they do actually go together, because a lot of people that have Venus in Virgo really idolise their partner. They really put them up on a pedestal and admire them from the distance. It's almost like, I can put you up there and I'll worship you. And that can sometimes be a little bit difficult for people to understand, that they've got a partner that's got Venus in Virgo and they worship the ground that they walk on and they put them up on a pedestal, but they don't really show them a lot of physical love and affection, and they find that difficult to understand. But you've just got to understand, the Virgo energy is, I'm just so in awe of you, I've put you up on this pedestal and you're just perfect. So nobody should sort of put dirty finger marks on something that's so perfect. And that's sort of how they see it. So, be a little bit kinder to people that have got Venus in Virgo. If you want to know what type of astrology software that I use, and I have used for many, many years, over 20 years, I work with HalloranSoftware.com. So it's Halloran.com. I've worked with John Halloran Software for many, many moons. I think it's the best in the world. He has a cheap, inexpensive program that you can buy, and you can print out your own little wheels for a very cost-effective price. So that's my recommendation if you're looking for astrology software. So we're now going to go on and we're going to take our first caller, and we are ready with Brooks in Riverside, California. Are you Brooks? Oh, we lost you. Okay, well, we'll keep talking. Okay, so when we have Venus in a chart, it's really interesting, because I just think Venus is just the most amazing planet to work with. I really love Venus because it tells us so much about ourselves, the type of person we are, where we want to go, how we look at the world, how we look at the things that make us happy. So, Venus probably, we all just think of Venus as the planet of love and affection. We don't always think of Venus as how we view the world, how we view the things that make us the happiest. So, I'm not sure if we have our first caller ready or not. No, okay. Okay, so it's really interesting. For those of you that don't know very much about tarot, let's throw a couple of little myths out the window as far as tarot is concerned. Well, probably the biggest question I get asked about buying tarot cards is, can I buy my own cards? And I always say to people, of course you can. Do you have a rich friend that's going to spend, $20, $30, $50, $80, $100 upwards on a set of tarot cards for you and buy them for you as a gift every time you wear them out? I certainly don't. Where the myth comes from that, after much, much research that I did into the tarot many, many times over in my lifetime, was that the Romany gypsies would take the tools of trade, the elder woman or the older gypsy, when she felt her time was coming to an end, and when she felt that she may be ready to depart the planet, she would then hand her tools of trade onto the eldest granddaughter. So the wisdom of the older gypsy would be passed down to the youth of the granddaughter. And that was said almost like, here's my tools, here's my wisdom, now you take the baton and it's your turn. It would always skip a generation so that we would have the wisdom of the old and the new positive, innovative ways of youth. And that's where the myth came from, that you can't buy your own cards. Many, many times people have argued with me on that score. If I had to wait for somebody to buy me a set of tarot cards, I wouldn't have had any, I can assure you. So, no, you can buy your own cards, and I feel that they need to be an extension of you. They need to be something that you feel comfortable with, a set that you feel drawn to, not the ones that everybody else might use. They've got to be something for you. Now, we're going to go to Carol in Alabama this morning. How are you, Carol? How can we help you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Do you have a question?
I was just...
Carol?
Excuse me?
Yes, sweetie. Do you have a question?
More or less a guidance. Just things are just all out of whack, and I have no guidance.
Can you repeat the question for me, Carol? I was having trouble hearing you, sweetie. We're having a wonderful time with technology today. We've lost Carol in Alabama. So we'll just keep talking. So I'll go on to another myth about the tarot, if you like. One of the other questions I get asked is, do I need to sleep with my tarot cards under my pillow? And I used to laugh at that question when people had come to tarot class and they'd all have a stiff neck and they'd have a headache and they'd say, oh, I've got a bad neck because I've been sleeping with my tarot cards under my pillow for the last week. Because I read somewhere that it was really important that you do that to sort of transfer your energy into the cards. And I used to suggest to people, well, I've never slept with my tarot cards under my pillow ever, and I'm not likely to start now. If you feel comfortable with that, by all means, be my guest. But no, you don't necessarily need to do that. And it's interesting how lots of myths and things, tips and tricks and things like that over the years, people sort of latch onto something, somebody else thinks it becomes law or a folklore that we all must follow. And another one that's done the rounds over the centuries is there reversed meanings in the cards? Well, after a lot of research into this, and I personally don't use a reversed meaning in the tarot cards, my research took me to that the only time that a reversed meaning was brought into the original teachings of the tarot was when someone didn't want to infringe on a copyright. So to make their deck different, they brought in a reversed meaning. And I used to always say to my students, if I take you and I stand you on your head, do I change your personality? And they'd all look at me strange and think, oh, Amanda's nuts. Why would she say something like that? And I'd say to them, well, if I take you and turn you upside down and stand you on your head, what would happen? And they'd said, oh, well, I'd get a rush of blood to my head. I might feel a bit wonky or dizzy. But I said, does it change you as a person? They said, no. And I said, well, it doesn't change the tarot cards either when we stand them on their head. So I hope that's just been a little bit of a helpful insight into some of the myths and tips and tricks of the tarot. Now we're going to go to Sarah in Russellville, Kentucky. Are you there, Sarah?
Yes, ma'am.
How can I help you tonight, Sarah?
Well, this is my first time ever doing this, so I don't really know how this works.
Okay, Sarah, how I like to work is if you ask me a question, then I'm able to take the reading that direction so that we actually get in and answer what you want to know.
Okay. Like you can give people guidance in certain areas, like love life and like financially.
Yeah. The question is that you want to ask me. If you want to ask me about love, or if you've got a special person in your life and you want to know about Bob, that's fine. Just ask it that way, sweetie.
Okay.
All right, Sarah. Well, how about I'll do it this way for you? I'll tell you what I'm picking up from your voice, Sarah. The first thing I'm picking up from you is a lot of endings and change and transformation around you at the moment. The last 2 months, have you been feeling quite restless, sort of feeling like you need to bring about some change into your life, that you need to be more organised?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So you're right on track for where you need to be. Have you also been contemplating looking for another job or deciding whether or not you're going to start looking for another job soon? Because I felt from September onwards, felt to me the strongest at when you'd be seriously looking for maybe making a job change.
Yes, actually I have been looking around.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good, because I do feel that there is another job coming for you, Sarah, but I didn't feel that the right job, or the job that would make you leave the one you're in to move to something else, wouldn't come in till about mid-September. And I feel it's going to be slightly different to what you first thought that you were looking for. So I suppose what I'm going to ask of you, as you're sort of going through the job boards and things like that, make sure that you sort of step a little bit out of your comfort zone and look at what else is around, because there may be something there that's going to catch your eye and you think, oh, that really looks interesting. Yes, I've got most of those skills. What I haven't got, I've probably learn, and that would then set me on the path for a slightly different career to what I've been focusing on. So I feel that that's good. So Sarah also is there someone special in your life at the moment with dark hair that you've got question marks around?
Yes.
You still seem to be questioning the relationship, don't you? You seem to be questioning whether or not it's right for you.
Yes.
Sweetheart, the best words of advice I can say to you, when we get question marks like that, it's not necessarily to say it's completely wrong. What it's asking us to do is to look at it more closely, is to examine it, to look at it and look at it with no emotion and say, how does this affect me? How does this fit into my life? Is it something that I can accept, or is it something that I can't accept? There's many, many different facets that make up a relationship. And if we turned around every time we had a couple of question marks about a relationship, we'd toss that one and we'd go looking for the next one. We would never really work through the lessons that we came down here to work through. What I'm picking up with this person in question is I think there's a lot of fear around them. I think they've been very, very hurt in the past. And I think what you're tapping into is that the relationship goes along nicely for a while and then all of a sudden it's like they shut the door on it. And it's like I can't reach them. It's like they're unreachable. And that then starts you off wondering, well, what have I done wrong? Have I done something wrong? Is this relationship not right? Maybe we're not meant to be together. And so you then start to bring in all the logical but negative sort of things because of the other person's behaviour. Do you see where I'm coming from, Sarah?
Yes, ma'am.
So does that sort of help you understand the other person a little bit better, that theirs is a fear thing? So I think if we can conquer that fear, then I think we can get down to whether or not this relationship is really right for both of you. But I do feel that there's a very strong connection there, isn't there?
Well, yeah, there's two people in my life right now. Someone that I've known for many, many years, and I have a really strong connection with him. But we got disconnected for a while, and I actually I've had a child with someone, and so yeah, I was just trying to figure out if one was meant for me or not.
So is that the one that sort of runs hot and cold when you were in the relationship?
I'm sorry? I didn't hear you.
Did he run hot and cold when you were in the relationship? Was it, at times there he was really approachable and everything was great, and then the next minute it was like somebody shut the door?
The one that I had my child with?
Yes.
Yes.
He's the one that I was picking up. He's the one I was picking up with the question marks at whether or not you need to go back to this situation. There's not just because you've got a child together, but there still seems to be a very strong pull there towards this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I think that you both need to sort of sit down and work through.
All right.
And I'm not saying that just because you've got a child together. I think you both need to establish whether you want to get back together again and we're going to make a go of this relationship, or is it time to say, well, look, we gave this our best shot and let's just move on by, and let's allow other people to come into our lives. I just feel that he's never really been able to open up and sort of share with you everything that he should have shared about himself because of this fear of being hurt, this being rejected. And that was sort of the major stumbling block, as I see, that why the relationship didn't keep progressing.
Yes.
And then, of course, would sort of into a negative and think, well, I can't work with this. I've got somebody here that won't open up to me. What am I wasting my time for? I've got other things I've got to do. And rightly so. I'm not blaming you for that. I'm just trying to help you understand. I think the two of you need to sort of sit down and have some conversations about where we go from here. What is it we would both be expecting from a relationship if we were to reignite it? Do we even need to go back to the beginning? Do we need to go back to sort of boy meets girl and we start dating and we get to know each other again? You know, sometimes it's really important to go to the beginning so that then we can put it on a much stronger footing, or, you know, put a good solid foundation underneath it, because we're now going to be very transparent, we're going to be very open, we're going to be very honest, we're going to talk about our fears, we're going to talk about the things that trouble us, that bother us, that even the things that we love about each other. And that might be something that I just sort of feel that his mother was very controlling and never really gave him a lot of praise. Is that how you would describe her?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's where I think his blockage comes from being frightened of giving too much of himself for the fear of maybe, you know, you won't love him when you see the real him. Do you see where I'm coming from, sweetheart? I think there's still too much in this relationship, Sarah, to throw it out the window just yet, darling. I think you really need to, you owe it to each other to sit down and see whether or not we can really sort this relationship out. Anyway, Sarah, I wish you good luck. The show's just about to finish, so lovely to speak with you. For everybody else, I hope you've had a great show with us. We'll be back again this time next week, and we'll be doing our third part in our series on Venus, the planet of love and affection. We'll have a little look at what's happening in the universe, and of course we'll feature our Simply Tarot card of the week. I hope you have a great week wherever you are in this amazing planet of ours, and just remember the new moon in Leo, time to strut your stuff. Bye for now.